one guy who is always excited for every Texas high school football game is the TexasFootball.com High School Football Insider. We are joined by Matt Stepp. And Matt, I know that this is a big weekend for you. What is your schedule look like this weekend? I know it's always crazy.
Well, on a Friday, going to the Star. I can't say it with the same pizzazz that Matt says it, but going to watch Kennedale and Van.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to a great 4A Division I matchup there. Should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, I'm heading down to San Antonio. I'm going to see the doubleheader. I'll get to hang out with the one and only Mike Craven as we watch Richmond Foster and Dripping Springs and Cibolo Steel and San Antonio Churchill.
I want to ask you first about that game that you mentioned, the first game you're seeing on Saturday. I feel like that's a game flying under the radar. Dripping Springs, a squad that I think people are surprised to see here, but they've had a great year. Richmond Foster, another team I think that I don't think people are surprised to be here, but they've flown under the radar. What's your read on the Richmond Foster against Dripping Springs game this weekend down in San Antonio?
I think the big key in this one is the Dripping Springs defense against that Foster offense. I mean, Alex Rammert, C.D. Lamb at receiver. The Falcons can score points in bunches, and they can score them in a hurry. I think in the first round of the playoffs, they scored 49 in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
They can score points in a hurry. Dripping Springs did a great job containing Angleton in the second round of the playoffs in a game that I was at personally. Was very impressed with them. Now, obviously, Angleton did not have B.J. Foster. He's been out since week 6 with a torn ligament in his knee. And Angleton Foster presents a different type of challenge to this Dripping Springs defense because Foster's going to spread you out and throw it, where Angleton's more of an old school wing T type offense. But Dripping Springs did a great job with the speed. So I'll be interested to see how they handle a really fast and athletic team that likes to throw the football. I think Foster wins the game. I think they're too battle-tested, too talented, but I do think Dripping Springs will make a strong accounting of themselves.
And then I want to ask you about a game up in the 6A ranks, which I think maybe has lost some luster today. We've got a rematch in the 6A Division I between Lake Travis and Westlake. The first game between those two rivals was not particularly close. Lake Travis walloped Westlake 49-7. I think there was a notion out there that this was a different Westlake team. They have a fully healthy Sam Ellinger. They have Nakia Watson. Well, let's back up to that first point I made. Sam Ellinger is reportedly, according to Justin Wells of, I believe, 24/7 Sports, he is out. He is out for this game and out for the remainder of the season with a wrist injury. I feel like Westlake was already an underdog in this one. Does this make them pretty much a prohibitive underdog?
In my opinion, I think they were, and I think I'm with Max on this. I thought they were a fairly prohibitive underdog with Ellinger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people forget, when Ellinger went out of the game against Lake Travis first time, they were already down 21-0 in the first quarter or second quarter. So
early in the second.
Wasn't like when they had Ellinger, they were really able to match up with Lake Travis. So obviously with Ellinger, they had at least a puncher's chance maybe if Ellinger just went nuts and Lake Travis played a kind of a down game. I think Lake Travis rolls. I mean, I thought they were going to win pretty handily anyway.
Right.
I think it might get ugly. I mean, really, Westlake at this point, maybe they knew all along Ellinger wasn't going to play, but if they didn't, now they had one game plan with Ellinger. Now it's Thursday. The game is tomorrow. That game plan, if you thought you were having Ellinger playing, is completely out the window now because you're going to have to completely change what you do because you don't have your stud quarterback who's going to Texas.
Sure. We're talking with Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. And I want to talk for a moment about the most fascinating team left in the playoffs. That, of course, is the Levelland Lobos. I am obsessed with this team. I think because obviously they have the incredible quarterback, Nick Gerber, and just a firecracker offense. This offense has been incredible. And it's not just Gerber. They've got a lot of great receivers. They got a lot of great running, but I think they have 2,000-yard rushers. This offense is incredible. Yeah. It's not just Gerber. The thing that makes me so crazy about this team is that this defense is pretty ordinary. Right. They're giving up something like 32 points a game. This defense is frankly not very good. Is Levelland the most surprising team left in the playoffs?
They're among. I mean, for me, if I had to pick the one biggest surprise probably left in the playoffs, I'd go with either Seminole or Winona. But Levelland's in that conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll give them credit. They did a great job last week against Andrews. Their defense, I think it was in that game. This final was 53-22, and the game wasn't that close. I believe it was 53-2 at one point, which is kind of a weird score. But I mean, I give Levelland's defense credit. They showed up last week in a big game against Andrews. I do think. I mean, I'm definitely have concerns about their defense going up against Abilene and Wylie this week because, I just feel like Wylie is going to line up, run the ball right at them, control the clock, and then rely on their tremendous defense, which has been really, really underrated all year. I think it's a bad matchup, and I tend to not bet against Hugh Sandifer in the playoffs. That guy does such a great job at Abilene and Wylie, and the way he prepares and throws a few wrinkles in come playoff time, they're really a tough out.
Yeah, they're playing as well as anybody out there, but that team just absolutely fascinates me. Kind of the same with Saginaw Ball as well.
Right.
A squad that, I think a lot of people had bowing out a little earlier. Now they draw Alito. They've got to be prohibitive underdogs in that one. Is there a game this week that you feel like there's an underdog that you feel like people are considering an underdog this week that we could see a surprise in?
I went on a little bit of a limb, and I took China Spring over Levelland. And I don't know how big of an underdog China Spring really – not Levelland, La Vega, excuse me.
Yeah.
I took China Spring over La Vega, and I don't know how big of an underdog China Spring truly is in that one. But I think China Spring's got a very, very good shot to win this game. They match up well with La Vega. They know La Vega very well. They're not going to be intimidated by La Vega and their 29-game winning streak. And I'm playing the odds a little bit. You have two good teams. They say it's tough to beat a really good team twice in the same year. La Vega is trying to do it 4 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to play the odds a little bit and go with China Spring. If you're really looking for a real deep sleeper, I think Duncanville can play Allen tough.
Ooh.
Duncanville's front seven.
Someone's joining my bandwagon.
I think Duncanville on the front seven. They're very good against the run. They've got a singular playmaker in Trey Siggers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can keep that game much closer than people anticipate. I'm not going to pick them to win the game, but I think they've got a shot to keep that game a lot closer than anyone really thinks.
Is this and it's a week of rematches. We mentioned China Spring La Vega is a rematch. Lake Travis and Westlake is a rematch.
They're everywhere this week.
They really are. North Shore and Atascocita is a rematch down the Houston area. I want to ask you about another one up in the DFW Metroplex, DeSoto and Cedar Hill. I mentioned in my video, it's been 71 days since these two teams have played each other, and I feel like these two teams have changed. They've grown, especially on the Cedar Hill side. I feel like Cedar Hill is a different team than they were last week. Give me a reason why Cedar Hill is going to beat DeSoto this time around.
Because you talk about all the playmakers that both teams have on the outside, but in the end, for Cedar Hill, I think it comes down to their ability to run the football and their ability to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't doing it early in the year. They couldn't stop the run to save their lives, and they had trouble running the football. They have improved vastly in both areas as the season's worn on. I think that's a testament to their kids and their coaching staff, and Joey McGuire and his staff for addressing that need on the fly. They've really improved in both those areas, and I think their ability to run the football and stop the run is one reason why I think they are going to beat DeSoto this week.
Okay, there you go. You're putting in the call. I picked DeSoto. I'm sticking with them, and even though I've been burned by them literally every year for the past 100 years.
Do you have burn marks? Literal
yes,
burn marks?
literal burn marks.
Wow, that's
literally.
Okay,
it's
all right.
literally the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I'm sorry.
I'm rolling with them. I just think Sean Robinson's playing too well right now. I want to ask you about a game in 4A that I feel like isn't getting a ton of love. Geronimo, Navarro, and Cuero.
Yeah.
These are two teams that are playing exceptionally well. Two teams that I think are built pretty similarly. I'm having a real hard time separating these two. Can you provide a little bit of separation for me?
Well, these two teams, again, the rematch theme is prevalent. These two have played in the playoffs 3 consecutive years. And I looked up a stat on Navarro. The last 5 years, they've lost 5 games. and 3 of those losses are to Cuero. They're 44-5, I think, in the past 5 years. Really, really tremendous. Let's go. And that slot T offense has really, really been impressive. Cuero matches up with Navarro really well because Cuero's physical superiority. The way to beat the slot T is you have to be physically better than the offense. You have to blow it up at the line of scrimmage and be physically faster, bigger, and stronger up front. Get in the backfield, disrupt the timing of that offense. Cuero, because of their physical ability, is able to do that. So that's why it's such a tough matchup for Navarro, because Cuero can just dominate up front and take care of things and really keep the Navarro offense in check. So that's why I like Cuero in that game. Navarro's really, really struggled to move the ball on Cuero. I think the only way Navarro really will be able to move the ball is if they try to open it up and throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the weather Friday night is probably not going to be conducive to that, so I have a feeling Cuero is going to control the line of scrimmage. They've got enough speed at the skill positions to make things happen, so I like the Gobblers.
We're talking with Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. 2 more games I want to ask you about. Games that I think are really going to be decided by the Razors' edge. One of them in 2A Division 1. Mason and Refugio. Refugio, I think, has been pegged as the runaway favorite in 2A Division 1. To me, all due respect to the other 6 teams remaining, this week against Mason seems like their biggest hurdle to as far as getting to a title game, or at least to a title game. Is this Mason team has come on strong of late? Do we think that Mason can topple Refugio?
I don't think so. I think Refugio, they've remade themselves into a little bit of a mirror image of Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Very physical, defense-oriented, run the football. Cuero still can throw it. Refugio can still throw it when they need to, but they're much more content with lining up, running the football, giving it to Jalen Mascoro, and controlling the clock and relying on a really good defense led by Kobe Herring, Damon LaFon in the secondary. They've got a lot of playmakers. Mason definitely has come on, and after a slow start, they're a little bit young. But again, I think Refugio, physically, their talent and their experience, especially that group of seniors that's played so many games, just going to be a little bit too much to ask for Mason to pull the upset.
I tend to feel the same way, but
especially since Mascoro, no one really knows if he might actually play in this game, because I guess he didn't play last week. So
we're gonna find out.
There's another Mascoro though. There's a freshman Mascoro who apparently went off last week.
There's
there's another one in the pipeline.
Jason Herring just feeds the Mascoro tree out back of the Bobcats practice facility. Now I do want to ask you about one more game. In my view, the best game of the week. The best game of the week is happening at 2A Division 2, the Region 3 final between Bremond and Tenaha. The Tenaha, Bremond, it speaks for themselves. They've won 44 straight games. Rashad Paul's never lost as a starter. They are rolling right now. They look every bit as good as they did the past couple of years in their title years. Here's Tenaha, a team that I think has flown so far under the radar that you can barely see them. They are 13-0. They have one of the best defenses at any level in the state. Give me a little bit of a scouting report on what we're going to see 7 o'clock Friday night in College Station when Bremond and Tenaha play each other.
With these two, I think we've come 360 in a lot of ways, because Rashad Paul's sophomore year, 2 years ago, Tenaha and Bremond played in the state semifinals. Tenaha was the established powerhouse, had been to the state championship game, I believe 3 years in a row, won 2 titles. Bremond was the up-and-comer, and Bremond upset them 36-32 to advance to their first state title. Tenaha had a bad year last year. We've kind of come full circle now. Bremond is the prohibited favorite in a lot of eyes. Tenaha is the up-and-coming underdog, so to speak. They're very junior-heavy as well. Tenaha's got a lot of juniors. They're going to be back next year. I think the dominance that Tenaha's display is incredibly impressive, and I think if you took a depth perspective of both these teams, I think Tenaha is a little bit deeper and a little bit more talented. But I'm on Team Tepper here. Bremond has that dude in Rashad Paul, and I just don't know in this game if he's going to let his team lose. I think he's going to find a way, going to put that team on his back, find a way to lead Bremond to another win and to the state semifinals. But I think it's going to be a real classic game. We're talking this game is be decided, I think, less than a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'll be real surprised if there's more than a touchdown separation. But I'll stick with Bremond because they're the best player on the field.
I knew this guy was smart. I knew this guy knew what he was talking about. He is Matt Stepp. He is the high school football insider for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_Stepp817. Matt, enjoy the football weekend. I know you will. And eat some good grub.
I will. And Max, I'm sorry for keeping you up till 11:45 last night. I'll try
It's
better
all right.
next time.
We're gonna be up all day on Saturday too. So
DCTF Live After Dark. Thanks, Matt.
right.
There he
All right,
goes, Matt Stepp.